Welcome back to Withum's video series, The Alternative Route. Today we're talking with Chris Lombardi, president at Salus GRC, and Rich Fuchs, audit partner in our financial services practice here at Withum. Chris and Rich, thank you both for joining us today. So a little bit more on the compliance piece of this, outside the typical master feeder standalone fund structures, are there any things that clients should be thinking about when they have an SPV in their portfolio when it comes to regulatory compliance?
Yeah, definitely hot topic. And the funny thing, Colleen, is, I think years back it was more the private equity world. You saw sort of SPVs, whether it be a co-invest vehicle or things like that. Now, much more in the more liquid hedge fund world, you'll see sort of an SPV or like a best idea. We really like the name in the fund. We don't want to put any more, perhaps for capacity constraints in the fund, but let's start an SPV. So I think whether it be hedge or PE, first things first is I think you have to, again, we spoke a lot already, expenses, right? So if we're you doing an expert call on a name, the name is in the main fund, the name is in the SPV, there's probably going to need to be an allocation amongst both there. So I think that's really important, is being fair in the allocation of the expenses. And I think also what happens if we sell some of it in the main fund and don't sell it in the SPV for some reason. So non sort of pro rata trades or non pro rata allocation, documenting that, understanding why that's done. Often you see, I think it's more common in the private equity world, these SPVs, but again, valuation procedures. And backing up to the launch of the SPV, who did we offer that to is a big topic of concern. So who did we offer the SPV opportunity to? Was it everyone in the fund? Was it just certain individuals or institutions in the fund, and why? So I think as you sort of venture into the SPV world, important to really discuss with your lawyers or compliance consultants, whoever it may be, but how do we have to allocate this? Who do we have to offer this opportunity to?
You touched on it a little bit, but another hot topic as valuations continue to be a focus area for clients, auditors, regulators, buyers and sellers. What are you seeing in the context of exams where valuations being looked at?
Yeah, I mean, definitely for the more liquid holdings and strategies, valuation policy. So do you have a policy? Is your policy current? Is it accurate, right? So if there's a new instrument we're trading or investing in, have we addressed that in the valuation policy, which I think most people do a really good job. I'd also say, perhaps consult with your auditor, consult with your fund administrator as you put this valuation policy together, because, come year end, again, getting to the audit where you all participate, you're going to want to test that, right? You're going to test these liquid holdings. And I think a lot, probably like yourselves, the examiners are looking at what went into the valuation. What was the process? Did you use a valuation agent? Okay, you used a third party. What inputs did you give them? They came back with a range. In that range, where did you mark the position? Was it the high end? Was it the low end? Was it in the middle? And sort of justifying that. So I think there's a lot that goes into valuation. Overrides. So say our valuation committee or our model says we think this position should be marked at this, and all of a sudden we see it's marked somewhere else. Well, why was that override? What was the decision making, and who were the voters that went into that override? So I think there's a lot to unpack around valuation, but clearly an important topic for regulators, for fund auditors, definitely up there in one of the most key topics you can have.
Yeah, Chris, 100%. I think one of the first things that we ask for is, what is your valuation policy? And let's take a look and read through. And I agree. I think it's important that they share it with the auditor and the administrator. We're always able to provide a little bit of feedback. This is what we see in the market. How can you, does it make sense, the methodologies that you're employing here on your investments? And so, always a critical item. The other item, like you mentioned, was the auditability of the inputs. For us on the audit side, it's so critical that we're able to understand the different inputs that go into the models, and where did you get that information from, and can you support it? And I think at the end of the day, when you kind of cut through it all. As long as we can get there and it makes sense and you're following your policy, you make life very easy
Yeah.
for your auditors, your regulators, whoever, to really not poke holes in what you're trying to do.
Yeah. And Rich, I don't know about you, but I think consistency is important too. So, maybe if we're a credit fund and we get 3 quotes, a month on a position, or, are we getting the 3? Are we using the same provider? Are we using the same parties to give us those marks? Are we shopping it each month? We use these 3 this month, these 4 the next month. So I think that consistency is important. And I think with all of this, and you probably see it, is not the template. You need to not just take, hey, here was an old valuation policy someone provided me. Can I work with this? But really need to spend the time, keep that a living, breathing document that's looked at throughout the year. We even see sloppiness where someone on the valuation committee left a year and a half ago, but their name is still there. They're not the firm anymore, but they haven't updated that. Things like that don't look good and don't show refreshing, keeping current with what's going on at the advisor. So those are some of the things that we see, simple mistakes of.
Yeah, agreed. Consistency, I think, is critical. Year over year, we want to make sure that it makes sense and that you're not just, kind of cherry picking what you want just so that you get the result that you're looking for. There might be a reason for the change. And again, it goes back to the documentation of why you're making that change and does it make sense? But again, yeah, we're very big on consistency across the board. So I think that's a great point that you made.
Well, thank you both. There's been a lot of great information. Thanks for joining us today to share it with us, and stay tuned for our next episode of The Alternative Route.